Hey, happy new moon in Pisces. We haven't connected before. My name is Bree. I'm an intuitive channel, and I love to connect in with the energy of the moon and the current astrology that we're sitting in, and then bring through messages for the collective, for you, that you most need to hear right now, and to give you some guidance as we're working through this crunchy energy we're currently sitting in. The wonderful thing about astrology that I love so much is that whether we are aware of it or not, it's happening. And I think that is so beautiful. I hear it so often when I talk to people about astrology, and they'll have no idea what the transits are. And then I'll mention, like the moon's in Cancer. And they're like, oh, I've been so emotional. It's like, yeah, that'll do it. So, whether you're aware of it or not, the astrology is going on around us. And we're sitting in a really beautiful transit right now. Um, Things can feel a little crunchy. We have the new moon in Pisces that's going to be on the 18th. Depending on when you're listening to this, March 18th is when the new moon in Pisces is happening. So I'm recording this a couple days early. And it's a very dreamy transit. Now, new moons, technically, we always say new moons are like the seed planting. That's the moon you do all the work on. You manifest, you dream the dreams and plant the seeds and do the manifestations and, set the goals for what you want to bring through for the next transit. But this particular moon, because it's sitting in Pisces, Pisces is all about dreams and intuition, spirituality. It's a floaty energy. It's very like deep, emotional, like depth water. And so it's really more about surrendering and listening. Pisces is all about, it governs the unseen. So that's emotions. It's like, the mystical, again, dreams, all of those sorts of things. So when you really feel into that like watery, mystical energy, that's what this new moon is sitting in. And it's not just that new moon. So we also right now have the sun in Pisces. So it's Pisces season. So like that is also really giving us this energy of feeling very just like dreamy. I really enjoyed this time of year. I have a lot of Aries placements, and that's next. That's spring. So we move into Pisces or to Aries season with the equinox on the 20th. And that's fire. That is like spring. We are getting stuff done. Like it's a go-getting kind of feeling. Pisces is like the hope, like the spark. I live in Canada. It's winter. So I always kind of think of Pisces as like we have just finished the long winter. It's like February into March, and it's like hope that it's going to start getting warm again. Hope that winter's almost over. The days start to just get a little bit longer, and it's like that, that dreaming of like, oh, can't wait till it's warm. Can't wait till like spring and summer come and all the things I'm going to do and the plans I have. And that's sort of what Pisces energy feels like. So with the sun in Pisces, we're also getting a lot of this sort of energy. And also, Mercury is in Pisces. So Mercury is currently retrograde, which it has been an interesting Mercury retrograde. Usually I was born during a Mercury retrograde. And so they say if you were born during a retrograde, you kind of have like immunity against it, like a superpower. This has probably been the crunchiest Mercury retrograde of my life thus far. The amount of like technological things and like just wild things has been fascinating. It's been very interesting. It's been a very powerful Mercury retrograde, and I have heard this from a lot of other people actually. So it's really interesting that it's just been such a powerful energy that we're kind of working through right now. So because Mercury is also in Pisces, Mercury deals with thinking, communication, perception. So when it's sitting in Pisces, particularly when it's retrograding, we start to get a lot more like intuitive rather than logical. not as like literal and focused and direct. And it's a lot more like reflective and dreamy and like, you know, it's really good for like creative thinking and like emotional, heartfelt conversations. Can be really challenging for like finding clarity. So just like again, it's like seasoned. All of this energy is just sort of like seasoning everything that's happening. But there's more. Saturn's also in Pisces. And so Saturn is sort of like in the background influencing this moon transit that we're having. I just gotta look at my calendar, it's on Wednesday. The 18th is Wednesday. But so Saturn is all about like discipline, structure, responsibility, boundaries, like, really strong, steady planet energy. And when it's in Pisces, it's really asking us to ground our spirituality and, how do we take all of this like intuition and, dreams and how do we ground it into real life? It's about like emotional boundaries and like discipline and like taking all those dreams and making them practical. So like Pisces is super dreamy and watery and think of like daydreaming, or we all know those people that they have all these plans and dreams and nothing ever comes into fruition. Like that can be a bit of Pisces in the shadow. And so Saturn kind of keeps pulling you back and being like, hey, but like, how are you going to do this? How are you going to ground this in? So right now, collectively, we might be feeling this like kind of dichotomy of like, we're super dreamy and like floaty and wanting to, just like dream about all the things. But then it's also like, but how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? How am I going to make this happen? And that can be part of why. And there's more. Last one. So we also have the North Node in Pisces. This is not super common to have like all of these planets happening in the same sign. So we've got like basically the moon, the sun, Mercury, Saturn, and the North Node all hanging out in the same sign. Bless anyone that is born right now. That's a lot of Pisces energy. Okay, but the North Node in Pisces is the North Node is basically about growth, like where we're kind of headed from a collective perspective, like where we're moving. And so right now with the North Node in Pisces, which it will be, it's, the nodes are about every year, they change, give or take. When the North Node is here, it's about like trusting your intuition, surrendering control, reconnecting with your spirituality, compassion, all of those sorts of energies. And what's really interesting is if you tuned into my last episode, we're talking about the full moon in Virgo. And Virgo and Pisces are opposites. We call them sisters in astrology, but they're opposites on the wheel. And so everything that Virgo is what Pisces isn't. And like they kind of complete each other in that way. So right now, the South Node is in Virgo. And what that's asking us to do is to release all of those shadowy aspects of Virgo. So things like perfectionism, like overanalyzing, and control, like the need to control like every little detail of your life. That's what it's asking us to release and to really step into this energy of just trust your intuition. If you feel that, you're being called in a certain direction, like you need to trust that and just let go of what it looks like. And so, we also just had this like massive lunar eclipse that happened in March with the last full moon, which was just like clearing house. That Virgo like eclipse there was just about we're getting rid of any like patterns, habits, structures, anything that no longer serves you. And right now we're kind of like sitting at the threshold. Like this particular new moon isn't about setting goals yet, right? We have the spring equinox in a few days, actually, which is very exciting. That is going to be it's on the 20th, which is a Friday. It's on Friday. So that's really exciting. But yeah, right now this energy is like with the equinox, we're going to have Aries season start. And so like that'll be a very different conversation. But right now it's less about like setting goals and taking action and just like listening, like what wants to come forward, what wants to emerge right now, like where are you feeling called, right? Like where are you kind of feeling those nudges? So it's basically like Aries is going to be the start of the entire astrological season. Like it is, it's one of my favorites. I love it. It's initiating energy, but we're not there yet. Right now, we're still kind of in this quiet. It's like the last quiet moment. Pisces is the final scene, the final sign of the zodiac. So we're kind of sitting in this lull and sort of waiting and listening for what's next. So it's a really beautiful time for reflection, closure. A lot of people feel that this is actually the end of the year. I know, like in our society, we celebrate it on December 31st. And then, like, January 1st is the start of the new year. But it really, for me personally, like the astrology, the energy lines up better and more supportive for this sort of energy right now. So, right now, we're sitting in Pisces, right? The sun's in Pisces. We're having this beautiful Pisces moon. And it's really about like, where have you come over the last year? Just some reflection and like, where are you feeling called? What do you like? It's like that listening energy of like, what do you feel on the horizon coming for you? And like, what are you integrating? What are you working through? What's been coming up for you? All of these energies, right? Um, so yeah, that's like essentially the energy that we're kind of sitting in collectively right now. I do feel that this is like Aries is eminent. Like Aries is within a week of me recording this, and so it's really just a beautiful time to sit with this energy and just trust it. Just enjoy the soft, watery energy that we have. In the northern hemisphere here, where I live in Canada, like I love summer as much as the next person, but it's busy. It's busy. Like we wait all year for this weather, and it tends to be a lot of like go, go, go. And right now it's just kind of like there's still nothing to do. You can't cut grass or do gardens. It's still this like dreamy kind of soft energy that we're sitting in. So with all of that to be said, I got a hard copy of my deck. If you've been following me, I made an oracle deck. And I had been waiting for it to get printed. This is my first beta copy. So this is my copy. And eventually I will figure out how to mass produce it to all of you wonderful people. And I do have a sign up list if you want to be added to the wait list to find out whenever I figure that out and it comes out. But here it is, the actual copy of my deck. This is the first reading I have done with it for the collective. So it's very exciting. So I wanted to pull a couple cards and just sort of get a sense of the collective energy that's coming through. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Let's see what our first card is here. There's something really cool about working with the deck that you made. Like a totally different energy. I made this deck because I couldn't find one like it. And I was getting kind of frustrated with you can't see it from where I'm sitting. I wonder if I moved ours. Okay, it's not doing it justice. I have like an entire shelf of decks. I've got 5 sitting on my desk here. I have a lot of Oracle decks and tarot as well. And I love them. I do. But there's just like something missing in them. So I felt called to make my own, and I did. So this is the Crossroads Oracle. I really should get better about talking about it, but it's not my forte. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Oh, okay. This is a beautiful card for right now. The lighting is not great in here, but this is the midwife. And I will put a picture of this in the write-up that I do so that you can see it a little bit better because it's showing up as really dark in here. Okay. But the midwife, I'm just going to put it on my computer here as I talk. The midwife is actually such a beautiful card for what the energy that we're sitting in right now. So the midwife is about patience and it's about emergence. And, when you feel into the energy of the midwife, so the midwife is one of the guides. I have 4 suits in this deck, and the fursuit is the guides, and they are like archetypes. Okay, so they're archetypes that are here to kind of like walk alongside you on the path and sort of give you their wisdom through the energy that they represent, if that makes sense. So the midwife is really about patience. She doesn't rush anything. There's no timing. Things are birthed on their own timeline. There's no rushing. Oh, I just noticed cat cameo. Here we go. Ivy. Sorry, ADD brain. But with the midwife, there's no rushing. Things happen in their own time as they're meant to. But it's also this energy of like something is coming. There's an emergence. Something is being birthed. It's just not here yet. Right. And this is actually like exactly the energy that we're sitting in right now. It's like Aries season's just around the corner. It's happening. What did I say? Friday? Friday. It's happening on Friday with the equinox. Like it's almost here. It's almost here, but not yet. Not yet. And we can't rush it. We can't rush any of this energy. We need to sit with it and be okay with sitting in this transitional energy right now. I was actually drawn to, you were possibly not going to be able to see this, but at the very top, there's a number. All the cards are numbered. This one's a 10. And I was just drawn to the number 1 there. So 1 is like new beginnings, right? With numerology. And so this card is really coming through with the message of just be patient. Like just be okay sitting in the unknown right now, sitting with the, the energy that we don't really know when it's going to happen. Something's coming, and that's different for everyone. Like, what is it you're calling forward? What is calling you forward? Ooh, that was a really strong pull there. What is calling you forward right now? And it might be completely different than what you expected it would be, but where are those nudges, those little tugs? It's like little threads. Like, where are they tugging you forward? And even if it's something you feel like you're resisting, you're like, I am not ready for that. Or what? Like, that is not what I thought at all. And it's like pulling you in that direction. And you need to trust that. But again, this is energy of just like almost like curiosity of like, we're just kind of sitting with it, and we're not stressing, we're not panicking. The midwife is like very confident in her skills, and she's there as a support. But again, it's that energy of like, something is coming. Something is coming. You are being called to bring something into the world. And it's just right now, it's not here yet. And can you sit in that uncertainty right now? Can you be patient and trust that it's unfolding as it should, and you're being guided in the right direction, and you're being so divinely supported, and you just need to kind of get out of your own way and let the process take over. Okay, that was a beautiful message for the collective. Okay, let's do 2 more cards. Okay, pull another one here. I just shuffle until I have a jumper. Usually what I like to do. And sometimes they jump really quickly, and sometimes they don't. But let's see here. Oh, oh my gosh. Can't make this shit up. I love it. Okay. The Abyss. This card is like Pisces, so Pisces coded. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is one of the realms card. So the realms are like the places you go. And it's really like more metaphorical with the realm. So it's kind of like if the guys are like physical archetypes walking beside you, the realms are really about like states of being. Okay, so stay with me. I also noticed the 4-4. That's card 44. 4-4-4 in numerology is all about trusting your intuition. So I do love that. But this card here is really like, it's showing up kind of dark, but it's basically like it's the abyss. This is like the bottom of the ocean. This is water. This is kind of like the sky up here, but it's like the dark depths of the sea, which is like very Pisces coded. So let's just put that there so I can look at it while I talk. Okay. So this card is all about surrender and like dissolution, like just allowing yourself to just dissolve and to let go of any like old identities or like anything that you're still clinging to that is no longer meant for you. And it's truly about just like letting go and like immersing yourself in this energy. It's a very healing energy. Water is like a very powerful healing archetype. Um, but it's also, I mean, like, water can also not be so nice. Like a really nice way to say it, but like water can be very unpredictable. Water can be volatile. Right? You can drown. Like water can be like peaceful and amazing and healing, but it can also be scary, right? A lot of people are scared of deep water, open water. A lot of people can't swim. Like all of those sorts of like fears and energies are really coming up as I feel into the energy of this card. It's like like I grew up swimming on lakes as a kid, but there's still times where I'm like, what's down there? Are we sure it's safe? Like that's a really normal, like human response to want to like keep ourselves alive. And so it's fascinating that these sorts of energies are coming forward as I'm tapping into the energy of this card. So it's about, what fears and anxieties do you still have? Pisces is all about the unseen, but it rules the mind as well. So, any sort of like mental health, anxiety, that sort of stuff can really, come up during a lot of this work. This is shadow work. And so it's, as you're sitting with this energy and allowing yourself to just kind of surrender to everything that is coming up for you, it's really about, it's an energy of release, right? We all have, we maybe thought our lives were going to be very different than how they ended up, or we were going to be in a different place, or working a different job, or with a certain person, or, whatever your story is. We all have these crossroads we come to in life where things turned out so much differently than we thought. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. You can absolutely love your life and still have grief for a version of you that thought things might be different. And, that's unique to each individual person. But what is so important is honoring that grief and honoring the fact that that identity, is no longer serving you, whether it's, maybe you worked really hard to get a job. You want to be a lawyer. So you like went to school and like worked really hard and finally landed your own practice. Now you're working as a lawyer and you're like, wow, this is not what I want, how I saw my life at all. This is not what I want. And you quit your job and like move to a farm and like you're so happy. But there's also a piece there that is grieving the life you thought you wanted, right? And it doesn't have to be big things. It can be little things too. It can be endings of relationships, all of those things, but it's about releasing your hold on that, and really just kind of surrendering. And like that idea of like dissolution, there's a tarot card I'm thinking of. I don't know if I have it in front of me here. Probably not. It's the moon in tarot. And in the Light Seers tarot deck, there's an image of her just like floating through the abyss. And like, it's like just about like full surrender and releasing is sort of the image I'm getting with this card right now too. So all of this to say, this like deep, watery, healing energy of Pisces, while there can be a lot of anxiety and resistance at first to doing this work and to allowing yourself just surrender and like sink down in the abyss and not worry about the outcome or where we're going or what's next or what's underneath the water or anything like that. Like that's where the work is right now. That's what's really hard, but that's where, it's allowing us to kind of, I almost see it as like, it's a hilarious reference I'm getting, but have you ever seen Pirates of the Caribbean? Like the first one, when Keira Knightley falls off the cliff, stay with me, and like sinks to the bottom of the ocean and like Jack Sparrow jumps in to save her, but he has to like rip off her dress, like open up her corset and like rip off her dress so that he can get her to the surface. That's literally the imagery I'm getting here. Where it's like, you took the first step. We always see like the Fool in tarot, right? So you take the first step, you jump off the cliff and you're ready to go. And then you jump in the water and you're sinking to the bottom, right? And it's about like peeling back all these layers that are part of an old identity that no longer serve you. right? They're not helping you anymore. They're dragging you down. So you need to release all of those layers. And actually, like the analogy is perfect because if you know the movie, Keira Knightley ends up like spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, it's like 20 years old, but she ends up like leaving that, aristocratic lifestyle and like becoming a pirate, right? To like gloss over a lot of movies, but basically it's like her shedding that identity that no longer served her. And that's exactly what this card and the energy we're sitting in right now with this moon is asking you to do, right? Like get rid of it, get like just let it go and surrender. And like I'm sure if you asked Keira Knightley as she was standing on the cliff, like, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? She would not have said, I think she ends up being like the captain of one of the ships or something. I'm certain she wouldn't have been like, oh, sailing this sea with pirates. Like, so fun, right? Of course not. But, I arguably you could ask her, she would probably be very happy with the life that she ended up choosing for herself. But it's that whole idea that there's still a part of her that would need to grieve what she thought she wanted, right? So, anyways, ridiculous analogies aside, that's the energy of this card. Okay, so before I keep rambling on forever, let's do one more. Let's do one more card here and see what wants to come through. Ooh, okay, quick one today. Oh, this is a lovely one to end on. Okay, so this is the map. And this one is one of the keys or the tools. Sorry, it's represented by a key, but it's one of the tools. And the tools card are as named. The energy behind this card are like items, like actionable items or things you could utilize while you're on this journey. The cards in this deck take you on like a full journey. And so, this card is actually like so perfect. It's called the map. And it's really about orientation. And because the idea is like, okay, you're about to start a journey, which we're getting this energy coming through. Like something is coming through. You're about to go start a journey. There's a new chapter calling you forward. We're starting the astrological new year, Aries season, all this energy. Like we know something new is coming. But before you go on a trip, you check the map. You check where you're going. If you're old school, you still have paper maps, or like you pull out Google Maps and just take a look where you're going. And in order to do that, you got to figure out where you are, right? You pull out Google Maps, it's like your location to where you're going and it routes it for you, but you need to know where you are first. And so this card is like, hey, before you take action, before you start running down the trail, little fool card in tarot, before you start running on your journey, you gotta figure out where you are. Like, take stock of where you are first. What's going on in your life? Where, everything. Just orient yourself to your world and take a really hard look at everything in your life right now. Where are you? Where are you? And then from there, it's about like a bit of discovery. Like, where are you going next? Right? What's the path? What's the direction? Like, and even if you don't know the logistics, that's okay. But the map is like that pause, right? It's sort of like, okay, like this is we now like there's direction coming through here. There's clarity coming through. Mercury goes direct. I believe it's the 24th, which is in like a week and a half, looking at my calendar from when I record this. So like energetically, we should be starting to feel a little bit more clarity around that. Or no, actually, it's not the 24th. I think it's the 21st. I can't remember the exact date. I just know that it's soon. Yeah, I can't remember the exact date, but I know it's like it's soon. It's soon. It goes direct. I didn't think I need to know that for this reading, but anyways, I digress. The energy here though is like clarity is coming, right? The whole energy of this entire reading of the collective right now is that like we know clarity is coming. We know something's coming, but like, can you sit in the uncertainty? Can you sit right now and just kind of like sit in the abyss, just sit in that water and just be patient, right? And kind of like take stock of everything that's coming up for you. And the map here is exactly that energy too, of, you have to like, you got to like get all your ducks in a row and figure out where you're going before you start the journey. So if you're feeling that pull, I mean, we are in the year of the fire horse that started in February with the Lunar New Year. And so you might be feeling that unrest, that like jittery feeling, especially with Aries season, like literally just around the corner. We can start to feel that energy building, just like the midwife. Like, you know, something's coming. You can feel it. You know, it's there, but you're not supposed to move yet. Okay. You're not supposed to like set all those goals and like start going. And, you know, Saturn's in Pisces, right? It's Saturn's that planet of like discipline and, you know, and like really, but because it's in Pisces, it's really focusing on you grounding this in right now. Okay. It's not like none of these planets are in Aries, which is like initiator energy. They're all sitting in watery, dreamy Pisces. And the moon is really coming through with this new moon is this opportunity of like, hey, it's, you know, it's a new beginning, but it's a quiet new beginning. It's a very soft energy of just sort of being like, hey, like, why don't you pull out the map and let's take a look at a couple options. We'll figure out where we are. And then it's like if you're hiking and you're like, I don't know if you've ever gone camping or hiking in like, you know, like a big provincial park or national park, but it's that kind of energy where you're like, hey, like, okay, like here's our campsite. And like, let's take a look at all the different trails we have and like where we'd want to go. And like, you know, that's sort of what I feel this energy is collectively right now. It's not a doing energy. It's a dreaming, you know, just kind of like a thinking and sitting energy. And, you know, a little bit more of that. Like, we had some really intense shedding with the last like eclipse portal we were just in, and like the Virgo full moon. So it's not like an intense shedding, but it's just sort of like, you know, I feel like we did a lot of the work with the full moon and did a lot of that, like, you know, shedding and really like looking at all those, you know, unhelpful patterns and criticisms of ourselves and those sorts of things. And now it's sort of like, okay, the emotions that are coming up after having done that work, like that's what we're sitting with now. Like that's, you know, there's grief there for some of us, and there's, you know, all of these different energies, and it's like, hey, it's okay. Like we're just gonna release them. We're just gonna kind of surrender to them, and, you know, and trust that like right now you're not meant to know the full direction. Like clarity is not here. Like Mercury is in retrograde in Pisces. You're not meant to know where you're going yet. You just know that like something's coming. And, you know, it's really just about like all three of these cards are really just about like, where are you right now? How are things for you right now? You know, knowing something's coming. Can you be patient? Can you surrender? You know, and can you just start to, it's just this like energy of like curiosity. Like, can you start to get curious about what is coming? Right. So I hope that resonated. I hope that made sense. If you found this helpful, I would love to hear from you. Please like send me a message, leave me a comment. Yeah, I'm hoping to do these for every new and full moon. I might pop in on the equinox next week because that's like really exciting. Aries season is my favorite. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, and bye for now.